There he is. Stock is coming back up. Zac Stevens joining the show from Mile High. What's going on, dude?
Fellas, coming off the first win in the Sean Payton era to open a season. I know it wasn't pretty on the offensive side, but that's about as good of defense as you can play. And we know defense wins championships. This is the first time that the Broncos have won a game while having 4 turnovers since January 2016. A month later, Benny Fowler's team went on to win the Super Bowl. So how about that news right there? It's the Broncos were able to overcome a pretty poor offensive performance and win. That's what good teams do.
All right, Zac. We've been waiting with bated breath to hear from you because we need to know what the hell Sean Payton was thinking on 4th and 8 late in the game. I gotta hear how he defended that decision.
Well, he was very confident in defending this decision. He said, look, we had plenty of time to think about this. So he's making it very clear that this was not just like a decision that they just didn't get enough time to think of and went with it. It pretty much comes down to a couple of things. First, how good they were playing on defense. He said, essentially, if they had to take over and they weren't able to get the first down, that he had trust in his defense, which ultimately paid off to be true. The second reason, he was afraid of a scoop and score on the kick. He knows that Will Lutz can make a 54-yarder, but he was afraid that the play could potentially get blocked and then ran back. And obviously the defense can't do anything in that situation. So he wanted to avoid that. And then the third one, he loved the play that he had for this opportunity here. And it was a good one. And Bo said if he just had just a little bit more time, he probably was going to be able to complete that pass through just a little bit shorter. He was going to be able to hit Marvin Mims. And he said, and I'm sure when I look at the film, I'm going to see Courtland Sutton was open. Bo, when you look at the film, you're going to see Courtland Sutton was very, very open there. But it was a kind of a crazy decision to do that. You win the game if you get the field goal. If you want to give him even worse field position, you punt it and get him at the 20 at worst. Thankfully, because the defense is so freaking good, it did not matter here. But that was a very interesting decision, to say the least.
Zac, got a question for you, my man. Great to see you. I want to know what was Bo like after the game? What was his confidence level? How did he answer questions? Obviously, he had a couple turnovers on the day. What did Bo say in his post-game conference?
He was as level as you could be. He was not super hyped about the win. He also was not down on himself. That's kind of what you expect from Bo and what you expect from a franchise quarterback, especially after a win. He said he's going to be even tougher on himself this year than he was last year. But this was a game, he said, look, I've thrown an interception every single year of my career. I'm probably going to do it every single year of my career moving forward. So he's not trying to be too hard on himself. But guys, one thing that he doesn't do is fumble. And he did that today. It's the first time he's fumbled in years and years on that strip sack. He said, when I'm in the pocket, I need to keep 2 hands on the ball. I did not do that this time. And like I said earlier, 4 turnovers, you lose every single one of those games. Unless you have a elite defense, unless you're playing against a really bad team, or you come up big in big situations. And it's what this defense did. But both 3 turnovers on the day. That's the opposite of who he is supposed to be. We heard Sean Payton talk about the negative plays, how he had a better negative play ratio in college than Patrick Mahomes. I believe he had that even last year as a rookie. He cannot continue to turn the ball over 3 times. The good news is you started off against the worst team in the NFL last year, and your defense came up absolutely huge. So everyone had Bo's back, though. Sean had Bo's back. Talanoa Hufanga not only had Bo's back, he was wearing Bo on his back. He was wearing a Bo Nix t-shirt in the post-game press conference, and he said, I wouldn't be wearing this shirt if I didn't have 100% faith in my quarterback. So everyone's rallying around Bo and the team right now, and boy, just thank goodness for the defense and Talanoa Hufanga, who, boy, man, that's exactly who they hoped for when they signed him.
Love it, Zac. What was just the overall vibe of the locker room? What did you feel like was on people's minds? What was the general energy of what was going on in there?
Yeah, win's a win. Business-like, because that's what Sean Payton has tried to make this team be. They've tried to make them, or Sean's tried to make this team a team that just expects to win. And so that's kind of what the vibe was like in the locker room, in the post-game press conferences with Sean, with Bo, with Hufanga, with Pat Surtain. And I'll tell you what, this defense, man, they expect this to be the defense you see, not just against Cam Ward, when he's playing in Denver, but this is the defense that they expect to see when they play Justin Herbert, when they play Patrick Mahomes, when they play Joe Burrow in a couple of weeks. This is the type of defense that they expect and they hold themselves to it. And Pat really said, this is the momentum we need to keep us going and get even better moving forward, which, guys, is insane. They gave up -2. I guess not even gave up. They held the Titans to -2 total net yards in the second half. That is insane. The Titans had 131 penalty yards. They had 133 total yards. The Broncos just absolutely dominated them. And let's say the offense turns the ball over once. The Broncos win this game 30-10, 30-3. It's an absolute blowout. You want to always fix corrections after a win. That's what the Broncos are going to be able to do. And because they were able to get the win, because of how the defense looked, because Marvin Mims does not fumble punts like he did today, I'm not pressing the panic button. I'm not concerned. I think this offense is going to be fine. Look, I thought Sean Payton actually did a really good job drawing up plays. I thought that there were a lot of plays there, specifically in that first quarter when Bo threw a couple of interceptions in that first half. Those are just uncharacteristic from him, and there were plays to be made there from Sean. And if you want to look at a play to be made, Courtland Sutton should have had, a 30-yard, 35-yard touchdown to end the game right there. That would have made everyone feel better. The stats would have looked better. But speaking of stats, don't look at Bo's stats until maybe after next week's game against the Colts. Those aren't too pretty. But the run game stats, after the first half, it felt like, man, Sean needs to come out with run the damn ball on the top of his play card because they just weren't running the ball. And maybe he did that because then they started running the ball, and that run game is what saved this Broncos offense, specifically that R.J. Harvey 50-yard run. Then 2 plays later followed up with a 19-yard run by J.K. Dobbins. That is what is going to help Bo Nix the most, and clearly what helped him the most today.
Zach, did Sean talk about being pass happy at all in his press conference? You know, he passed the ball a ton today. Bo had 40 attempts. Did he talk any at all about that?
Whoa, Benny, they ran the ball 30 times too. That's kind of what Sean's tone was in the press conference. He wasn't asked directly about being pass happy, so he didn't get to be defensive in that way right there. But that was kind of his tone in this was, look, we stuck with the run, and look what happens when you stick with the run. At the end of the day, it becomes efficient. And so that is a very good question. It did feel like, especially with the way that Bo was in the first half, just not looking good, especially at the beginning of the second half. That interception on the first pass that he had, it seemed like, man, just take it off of Bo, especially when he has one of these days. He cannot be dropping back to pass 40 times. I completely agree. If Bo's going to have one of these days again moving forward, you want 40 runs to only 30 passes.
All right, Zach, I asked the whole panel what their biggest takeaway is. I said the defense, then Henry stole mine and also used the defense. So you're not allowed to say the defense. What is your biggest takeaway from this game?
Well, this is a historic potential defense, Ryan. I mentioned
it earlier.
God. I mentioned it earlier. The last time the Broncos won a game when they had 4 turnovers was a month before they won the Super Bowl against the Chargers, I believe was that game. And this defense just showed that they can be that. 133 total yards given up, -2 net yards in the second half. And they absolutely clamped down anything the Titans wanted to do after about the first quarter and a half right here. This team has a chance to be very, very special, especially led by President Damani Leach right there, who just walked by. And this team, guys, I know you look at the score, the Broncos, I guess, pushed on the spread right now. It didn't look pretty. But this is encouraging because you got to see how good the defense can be. And look, there's just no way that Bo is going to struggle like that moving forward. So until I see it many games in a row, I'm not going to worry too much about the offense. It is about the defense. Sorry for breaking your rules, Ryan, but it is about the defense and how good they are. And, just being able to overcome 4 turnovers. Marvin Mims is not going to fumble like that. He's an all-pro returner. So you had a bad game in 2 out of 3 areas, including the kick return that you gave up at the end of the first half, and you're still able to win in the NFL against a bad team. That's still impressive.
Zach, any news on Evan Ingram's injury, and how is he playing next week?
Yeah, that's concerning. We don't know any update on Evan Ingram. We probably just realistically won't find one out until Wednesday, but it's that calf injury. He went out in and out of the medical tent a couple of different times throughout the game. So it's very concerning, especially when you look. Dre Green, you signed 4 big-time free agents, J.K. Dobbins, Evan Ingram, Talanoa Hufanga, and Dre Greenlaw. And 2 of them did not finish the game. Of course, Greenlaw and Ingram. Hufanga, though, absolutely stepped up, and JK did as well. But you don't like to see that number at 2 healthy guys of those 4 at the end of the first week.
Anything from your experience talking to the team that we didn't ask you about that you wanted to share with us?
Well, I just love that how this team is rallying around each other. I believe Pat and Hufanga were asked about Bo's game, and they said, Bo got to win today. This is a team game. He got to win today. He led us. He's going to be better. And they just have full confidence in themselves. And I just love that you got Huff wearing his quarterback shirt in his very first game as a Denver Bronco. And guys, the vibes shouldn't be as low maybe as they are right now. A win is a win. And again, this is the first time in the Broncos' tenure with Sean Payton that they have started the season 1-0.
I love it.
Love to hear it, man.
All right. Appreciate you, Zach. Get home safe, and we'll see you soon.
See you tomorrow, my man.
Let's go, baby. Let's go 1-0.